when Iran was fucking with us, I actually went to bed wondering if Israel would exist the next day. That's the first time my faith was literally disappeared. That it was a horrible, horrible experience, and I learned my lesson.
I don't think you lost faith. I think you just got your faith tested.
Okay, thank you.
The most amazing thing about losing your faith is all you have to do is pick up a good Torah book and reread back into the script.
I have a good, praying to God's little thing.
All you gotta do
but
is
before
read
I
a book,
tell it to you guys, whoever was here when I was telling the story about Adi, Natalia Copeland, I just now I put all the information that you guys were asking about in the chat because I wanted to make sure with her mom that it was legit and stuff. So, and a few hours later, somebody on a Sea-Doo comes by and he's like, "Do you need help?" And he's like, "No, it's okay. Hashem's gonna save me. I know it." And then the next time a boat comes by and he's like, "No, Hashem will save me." Anyways, he ends up in heaven, and then he's like, "Hashem, I thought you were gonna save me." And he's like, "What do you mean? I sent you a boat, and I sent you a Peter, and I sent you all these things. What do you want from me?" Anyways, that's the joke.
I put it in the chat that you were telling it because I love that story. That it's like that Jewish like poetry. But John, you're a fucking manipulator, and you started this, and I want to thank you.
Yeah, it's amazing how if you just start talking about Torah and you lead people back to the source, materials, all the other propaganda and real politics just melts away in the face of the beautiful shining light of the Torah.
Are you filming this though, or all your social medias?
Yeah, but I've got the air conditioner running, so most people can't hear it.
Is it playing live right now on your YouTube channel?
Yeah, you can click my profile and view my YouTube URL, and you can watch me in my Trump hat having a conversation with you.
Thanks for coming. You're welcome anytime. Cash in your red ticket at the top of the screen where it says Bibi and the Chosen Ones. You just click that and join the house. Because in the audience is one of the people who has spent more time in room fully dedicated to the genocide and repeating one lie after the other. One blood libel after the other. Not just disagreeing politically with Israel. Anybody can disagree politically with Israel. The Israelis, you vote for this one, you vote for that one. But spreading vicious lies about us. In other words, giving terrorists reason to attack us, hurt us, God forbid, kill us. And I fully believe that some of the people on this app are about one hair's length away from a terrorist, based on their profile, based on their history of arrests, based on their connection to the military. And I'm weighing to myself, is it better that they remain in the room so that they hear how we relate to each other? Or are they just like recording, manipulating, like sitting there waiting for some sort of weapon to use in their arsenal of lies against us? So tell me, what do you guys think? Should we let people who are fully dedicated to destroying us, are they supposed to be in the audience or not? What do you think? I think we do, because we have nothing to hide, and it's true. If somebody was just listening to the past 20 minutes we were talking about love and respect towards one another and teaching and learning. Totally.
Kick them, you would just be creating a $5 a month subscription revenue for Clubhouse Anonymous. So if you want to help the app grow and help them make more money, you should kick them just so they have to get anonymous, just so they could sit here and listen anonymously because you decided to kick them. But listen, I just want to say I asked Buttercup, who's now returned to the room, about an hour ago or 2 hours ago, tell us your definition of Zionism. She told us her definition of Zionism, and I gotta say, Buttercup, you basically come to these rooms to do real politics. I think your communication is political, and therefore I encourage the moderators to limit their communication with you only if you're willing to engage in reading Torah or some type of wisdom material, as opposed to spewing real politic all the time nonstop. I would just encourage you to read a book to the room or join a book club, the moderators, to do more education through reading books as opposed to letting people run their motor for 3 hours straight. That's like letting a car sit in your garage.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me.
I don't know. I hope that was constructive, criticism and feedback, and not, too harsh, because I do think, you are needed. Pose the contrarian position. So without you, there really is no conversation. But I would just encourage people, for every 10 hours of Clubhouse conversations, maybe read a book for 10 minutes. 10, not 11, 10, not 9. Books.
I mean, feel free to put some book recs in the chat. I've recommended a few books. Other people have recommended books. I also love reading and I'm happy to start a book club in another chat. But that's what this is for, to share ideas. And if you want to share a book recommendation, John, by all means, that's what the chat's for.
Oh, I agree. I just encourage everybody, for every 10 hours of Clubhouse and heated conversations about real politics, maybe try reading a book for 10 minutes on the app for every 10 hours that you spew your toxic dust.
I know everyone's reading books, but I just want to say that scholarly articles are also valid, and also I like reading law and policies of different places. So I'm not the biggest novel reader, but I do like to read information from various sources. That's all I want to say.
Honey.
No, that's not honey Islam. That's not her.
It's not, right? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know who this lady is, but people said that they've known her for a while. Somebody that I know said that they had her blocked already, and so she changed her name.
Funny how she keeps saying, I've only been on for 5 days. Then she said 4 days. Then she said 3 days.
I also want to point out that I find it amazing that we call, the listening gallery the goo, because that's like the gulag. And essentially, communists who build gulags ultimately end up residing in their own gulag.
It's so interesting that you mentioned communism, because I'm studying it now. I'm studying the rise of Stalin. I'm studying the Cold War. And the Palestinianism, the Palestinian attack on the very existence of a Jewish state, the very idea of Jewish sovereignty in the land, which is now, of course, established, it's not going anywhere, is modeled on communism, in that it is a totalizing ideology that does not allow for honest dialogue. series of delegitimizing of the very premise of Jews and of Jewish sovereignty. For example, there's a reason why they called the brutal medieval butchery of October 7th the Al-Aqsa flood. Think about it for a second. It's because they want to build their mosque on top of our temple and erase our existence. The way that, for example, they erased the existence of the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople by turning it into a mosque, the way they destroyed the Buddhist statues, the World Heritage Sites in Afghanistan. They want to erase any other identity. Otherwise, of course, they'd be willing just to live peacefully next to us, and they wouldn't be arguing over this piece of land or that piece of land. I should point out that the Al-Aqsa flood butchers, they don't care about Judea and Samaria, the West Bank. There was no way that this was going to improve their position in terms of land. The only thing that they wanted to do was destroy Jews, and then to lure us into Gaza so that they could massacre us, so that they could ignite the ring of fire. Remember, Hezbollah was supposed to attack at the same time from the north and overwhelm while Syria attacked from the east, while Yemen attacked from the south, while Iran attacked, while Iraq attacked. All of these things happened. It's just they weren't very coordinated, and so they failed. It was a full-on nothing to do with rights of anybody. It had nothing to do with the West Bank. It was for one purpose only, and that was to commit genocide of the Jewish people, whereby they did a sort of a psychological jujitsu, and because they are so uncomfortable with their moral depravity, and of course that's indisputable, they do some unspeakable, abominable act, and then try to do moral jujitsu of subduing the very thing that they did. And that's where the genocide thing comes from.
It's like a passive aggressive behavior where, when you're talking with somebody and they're purposely trying to trigger you, and they're like, whoa, you're getting emotional. And they just want to get you more triggered.
I think that was part of the plan all along. If you think about it, they also knew they wouldn't be able to take Israel completely. So, think about it. They knew they would be able to kill a certain amount of people, and then they understood that once Israel was retaliating, they would just use them people. So I think what we are doing, or what is happening, is kind of what they planned for all along, this media campaign. And I think that there's also any sort of coincidence that as soon as it happened, or even right before it happened, there was sort of an anti-Hasbara nomination prepared, right? These people that come out of nowhere. I think that this is part of a larger ideology.
For sure. Plus, of course, I can show you 2 weeks before the butchery of October 7th, Saudi said we're about to sign the accords with Israel. 2 weeks ago, he said the same thing. MBS of Saudi and Israel said we're going to sign this. They said so. Again, very irresponsible. The Yahya Sinwar launched that of butchery and mutilation and hostage taking, all of which are anti-Islam, by the way, without coordinating with Hezbollah. I think they knew that Hezbollah, in terms of intelligence, was weak, and therefore they couldn't be trusted to coordinate. It turns out they were right, by the way. Hezbollah was really weak. They were providing Israel with intelligence, and we were able to take Hezbollah down pretty expeditiously. Thank God.
But serious question, do you really believe it's anti-Islam? Because don't you think the way they think about it, especially the way the attack happened on Shabbat, they would consider the people that were there non-believers? And in the Quran many parts of scripture that says to basically kill the non-believer. Well, in order to taking children and defenseless women hostage is absolutely anti-Islam, which means that these are not the Muslim people; they're anti-Muslim people. Yeah. Which is why some people call them Amalek. They don't fear God. They don't fear their own God. Calling them this because they attack the weak and the stragglers, the children, and old women. There's nothing that they could have gotten from that. But it was their savagery was unrestrained. So that's why I say that. In other words, I have a personal position which I don't want to argue with anybody else, that I respect other people's religions as a legitimate attempt to get closer to God. I respect them and their attempts, and I don't believe that they are. I don't believe that they are evil. I'll never make a totalitizing judgment against the people. However, I will say that are unquestionably evil. They are like Nazis, and those who act must pay for their actions, and those who support them have to be deprogrammed and re-educated so that this can never happen. I think that's non-negotiable, and I think that's what Bibi's war goal is. I think the West is behind it. And whether somebody votes to recognize the so-called Palestinian state will not affect this one iota, especially as the United States stands down in the region and stands Israel to take care of this so that the U.S. can turn its focus to China. Trump has said to Bibi numerous times, take care of this, and Bibi's almost like, really? Like, now? Like, Bibi hasn't fully even stepped into his role as the sort of the Winston Churchill of this war, with his dedication to absolutely destroying the enemy. Again, not civilians, which he's doing quite a bit to save and preserve, but certainly the combat. The funny is that from their side, they will say that every single Israeli is a fair target because some of us are reservists and some of us have served. So they don't afford us the same humanitarian values or protections that we would afford them. Look, they tried to maximize the slaughter of civilians on October 7th. So we're also fighting a militarily asymmetric war, yes, but also a morally asymmetric law. And this makes it very difficult. How do you fight somebody who's playing by different rules while not becoming as morally depraved?
That's all I can say.
Say again, Sam?
That's all I can say. This is part of the jihad. We're causing this to
It's part of the jihad. By the way, the room with people like Ace in the audience, and Amir and Buttercup is here contributing with some participate and support the people who want to just emphasize against us. This is part of the jihad, either willingly or unwillingly. The psychological warfare that they do, the doxing that they do, this is part of their jihad. Their release of those tortured videos of their hostages, one of these is the tortured hostages.
Hey, Citadel?
because even the Palestinian people don't trust the Palestinian Authority. So we have to have a different configuration.
Well, the thing is, people are always going to have an extreme contrarian position in the game of politics. And the situation in Israel, its surrounding area, their own little political bubbles with Hamas, etc. I mean, de-escalation, harmony, peace, balance, all these things come through communication. And unfortunately, what can you do when you're fighting with suicidal, terrorists who are willing to go to the ends of the earth, to prove a point? So, and it's not just proving a point, it's they're in an all or nothing position. So, I don't know, does anyone here have a solution, or is it just break the siege, end the war, fight it out, rescue the hostages? But I don't know. This is a quagmire, or it could be a Pyrrhic victory, or it could be a stalemate, or it could be, there's a lot of game theory approaches on how to create the best optimal solution, which is unfortunately going to hurt a lot of feelings. There's a lot of people on this app and people in the real world whose feelings are going to get hurt at the final outcome, because every war has a beginning and an end, and that's just like relationships.
Yes, and people will be insulted, people will get very angry, but the fact is, who has the best wisdom to decide the path forward, right? Who has the best wisdom, right? We look from Buttercup in this extreme utopia, communist way, that is, if Jewish population are becoming minority, and she said it yesterday, so be it, right? So, and John, I'm kind of just learning that you reading Torah and things like that, but I think the solution is in the Tanakh. The solution is in Tanakh.
Norm, did you know, since you were talking about communism or Russian Soviets, I mean, the whole thing about Zionism is racism, that it came from there?
Yeah, of course. I remember very well. Believe it or not. Yeah, I know it does.
I just don't know if anyone else knew that.
So what we're facing is an ideology which is known as Palestinianism. It's not really by the way, the leaders of the Arabs of Israel never asked for a state, which is why they don't have one. I'm sorry, I'm multitasking here. So the Soviets, yes, created the idea of Palestinian nationhood in '64 with Arafat. Arafat, his name is not Arafat. His name is not Yasser Arafat. It's like Abdul Rahman, etc., etc., etc. He's not from Palestine. He's from Cairo. And together they cooked up the terror campaign, the first and biggest terror, attacking cruise ships and striking civilians. This was like a sort of a step, a development in Palestinian terror. She's no longer a member. Her name is Einat Wolf. Pointed out that when they say they want to return, what they're talking about is what they did on October 7th. That's what return looks like to them. So when they want the right of return, what they want is the right to do exactly what they did on October 7th, which is indiscriminately slaughter Jewish civilians, not military civilians. That is to say, kids dancing at a dance concert and old people living in little kibbutzim around the region in the Negev. Old people, young people, families in their beds, people in their pajamas, unarmed people, just to make it really clear. I want to address a couple of the comments in the chat. You said Gaza was a concentration camp. That makes no sense. Gaza is composed of a number of cities. They were full-fledged cities with luxury apartment buildings and BMW dealerships and concentration camp about them. Not only that, 20,000 Gazans came into Israel every single day to work in Israel, to work in the places and to work in the homes that they later returned to slaughter their former employees. And they made 10 times what they make in Gaza. The day rate in Gaza is 40 shekels a day, and they were making 400 shekels a day in Israel. 20,000 a day. Now that combined with the $250 million a year